welcome to the Broken World Chronicles episode 2. If you are watching us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/GreatGM, welcome to you. And if you are watching us on YouTube, welcome to you too. If you are watching us on YouTube, remember to hit that like and subscribe button and the goblin bell if you want to see more of these episodes. They will be coming out weekly, 2 episodes every week for your viewing pleasure, chopped up into 1-hour shows. You can also go and find us on our Patreon page. All the links in the doobly-doo below, where there are podcast options as well as other bits and pieces for your viewing pleasure. So check them out. We have our usual cast with us, and it's my pleasure for us to continue where we left off. So very briefly, I'm not going to do a recap because I'm assuming you've watched the episode just before this one. Our characters find themselves in the war room of poor old Duke Sandast, whose castle is currently under siege by these strange insect-like creatures that have been referred to as the Klak, whatever that might be. And the Duke looks from each of your faces and says, "We have no hope if Feldun does not send support. We could send our own men, but you're kind. You have more of a chance of getting through than we do."
You mentioned before that we might be able to shift as well. What abilities do we have that can do that?
Praying.
Elderly woman who's sitting at the back of the table, she looks up and she says, "Well, how did you get here, dear?"
I fell.
"You fell?
Hmm.
And you, young man?" she says, looking at you, Warrin.
Also definitely fell. I was pushed. I was trying to fly.
Oh. And, you, sir? She says, looking at you, Flint.
How we got here ain't really the question. The question is what you expect us to be able to suddenly do. I mean, when it comes to traveling, needless to say, I think the three of us can speak together when we say we ain't have no idea how we got here, nor do we have any idea how to go from anywhere that ain't here.
That is unfortunate. There's a loud boom and bits of mortar falls from the ceiling. Several men run past the corridor shouting about the south wall. The south wall has fallen. Duke Sandhurst looks back at the three of you. "I don't have time for this. Either get them through the swamps or get them onto the battlements. I don't care. Either way, we need to defend the castle. Miriam, you sort this out." He strides past you as he goes to join the rest of his troops. The lady looks at you and she says, well, traditionally, shifters have these stones which allow them to move. If you don't have those, then I'm not sure if I can help you."
Do either of you have the stone when you fell?
Mm-mm.
I'll search my pockets, like...
You kind of, there doesn't seem to be anything there. The next moment,
I'm in
there's
check
this...
too.
You're busy sort of going through your the next moment, one of the
Are you in
guards
there?
arrives, and he looks at the three of you and he says, "Oh, I'm awfully sorry, but another one of you lot, another one fell through. Only I'm afraid he's not going to make it. He's in the infirmary now." Miriam looks at the three of you. "Another of your companions?"
I don't know. Possibly someone fell with us. But you said it was someone who's shifted before, but I might be able to help them. Can you show us the way?
Oh, yes, says the guard, and he rushes you down the corridors to a larger sort of infirmary, if you like. I'm just going to move you guys across there on the map so I can keep track of where you are. And as you push into the infirmary, they're just guards lying everywhere in various states of distress. You can see them lying on the floor, lying on bunks, two to a bunk, or two to a bed, I should say. There are a few priests moving around. Every now and again there's the flare of healing magic. But the priests themselves look very worn. One of them looks at the three of you and then points to a bed. And you can see lying in the bed is this very strange looking humanoid, completely covered in grey matted hair, with this very large bushy beard where there's tinges of red in the beard. The figure seems to be lying in quite heavy plate mail, but you can see every now and again there's just gushes of blood that burst from an open wound as healers are trying to keep things down. That's the one.
Right, so I'll make my way over, and I'm going to start singing a really soothing song. I'm going to cast Healing Word towards him.
All right, you throw out healing words towards him, and give me your heal, please.
I think it's a... How do I get my... There it is. I just had to expand it. Bloop!
All right. As you fill him with this magical energy, he looks up, and Warrin, you see that it looks like your father, or grandfather, I should say. He's got this sort of fiery red hair, this frantic look. To Flint and Floreria, it just looks like Warrin, but if he was 80 years old. And he glares at the three of you, and he looks specifically at you, Warrin, and he says, "Oh no, I'm young again. Oh, I'm sorry." And he reaches for a pouch in his at his belt, and he pulls the pouch up and he sort of hands it over towards you. "You're gonna need this, all of it." And
What?
he sort of falls back. Floreria, give me a medicine check, if you please.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I don't know. Don't panic.
I can't help but panic. I'm a panicky paladin.
It's okay. Just relax. Just breathe. It's a 9. Slow breath, Sterling. Slow.
Flint will place a strong, cold hand on his shoulder and just look at him with a steely gaze and saying, "Deep breaths, slow."
There you go.
You
I'll take
need
the
to.
pouch.
You're gonna need to learn to listen to them, says the figure on the bed. They're gonna save you a couple times, but don't worry, you'll save them back. Now, I don't have much time. You'll understand. It'll just take some bashing of your head. And he falls back. As he does, you can see the sort of energy start to crackle over his armor. And he looks back from these sort of almost blank eyes as he seems to be getting older and older and older. His skin wrinkles even more and more and more. And eventually the last word that he sort of utters is, "For Delu." And then he just crumbles into dust. Every priest who's around suddenly backs off. And then they all look at you, Floreria.
I would go over to young one, just like, "What's the prayer for someone passing from Delu?" You should give him his last rites.
"Who the hell is Delu?" says one of the priests.
Okay.
Okay.
Give me a hot toddy. I walk over and I just kind of raise my hands over where he was, and I'll say, "May the winds be underneath your wings as you go forward to the skies unknown. Please be careful along the way, and do not lose yourself. Be brave and be strong." Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Oh.
Well, listen, while this encounter has definitely made me grateful for the fact that I no longer have a stomach, I think it's more prudent for us to recognize what it is exactly that fellow there gave us.
I'm going to open up the pouch.
Yeah, here.
So as
maybe
you're
we should
opening
say
up the
back
pouch, the priests who are standing around, there's still dust where this figure was, and this large metal breastplate. They look at you and they say, "With all respect, there's many that are alive that still need this bed." And they sort of gather up the blanket as a big sack and sort of dump it on the side of the bed. And immediately,
I'm going to gather that because I know what can be done with it. So I'm going to gather it up so it doesn't get tossed to the winds and thrown out.
Gotcha. All right, so that's what you're doing. Inside the sack, Flint, you open it up. It's not a very big. It's not a huge sack. It's a small little pouch. As you open it up, pulling out of it, you can see these. They look like obsidian flakes, little teardrop-shaped pieces of black glass almost. And sort of rummaging around inside of it, you can see that there are about 12 of them.
What y'all make of this? I sort of get like about 2 or 3 and hold it out in the palm of my hand.
Well, the lady mentioned that we needed stones to be able to shift. And then they took us to the shifter, and then he said we're going to need these. Do you think that's what they are?
Only one way to find out. Let's go see the old lady and see if maybe we can help with the hullabaloo that's happening here.
Can we take a second? I don't know who you are or you are. I saw apparently me, and I saw myself die, or it could be me. No, this can't be.
It could be
me. It's a fake me. That's the only way. You can never be me. I am me.
At this point, Flint will sort of take hold of his tabard and give a firm, but not too firm, slap across his face. And I look him square in the eyes and I say, "You with us? Are you here?"
I think so.
Good. Don't you ever forget that. Now, I don't care who that pile of dust is. All I know is that you are here right now. I don't need you over there. I don't need you worrying about some other folks' problem when the world is coming around us. Once this is all over and once we figure out exactly what is going on and where we're heading, then you can freak out. Till then, I need you to stay strong.
Okay.
Plus, if this was you, we can always find a way to avoid it.
Okay.
I don't care who you are or what you've done, says the priest. I want you out of my infirmary. Go and fight the Klak or whatever it is that you're doing, he says as he sort of shoos you back out into the corridor as more soldiers are brought in, all suffering these horrid lacerations and wounds that they have suffered at the hands of the Klak.
Thank God I have all this ale.
I'm into alcoholism already.
Flint will lead the way back towards the meeting room in hopes of asking the old woman if the stones that we found that were given by the elder Warrin are in fact the stones that she's describing.
All right. Are the rest of you following?
Oh,
I'm going to be following, but along the hot quarters, I'm going to be looking for like a potted plant or something, or some type of pot.
Sure. Yeah, there are some doors that are ajar, and you can see one of the rooms looks as if it was some kind of washing up room or refreshing chamber of some kind. There's an urn in there, absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to put the ashes in that urn.
All right, so that's what you're doing. Warrin?
I'm just gonna not blow up, hopefully, like other possible not really me, and just go along with the group, I guess.
All right, so you're following behind Flint. Miriam is standing in that chamber that you were talking about. Flint, the war room. She's chatting quietly to several other people as you arrive.
Sorry, just really quickly, before we head to the room, while he's traveling down the corridors, Flint will basically stop in his tracks for a moment and turn to Warrin and Floreria and say, "The name's Flint."
Hi, Flint. I'm Warrin.
Warrin, Flint, I'm Floreria.
Well,
Flower. No, sorry.
Floreria.
Floreria.
Very close.
Okay.
If you have a hard time with it, you can call me Lore.
well, Lore.
Okay.
I gotta say that if that old man was anything to be believed, we're about to head into a mighty amount of trouble, and it's gonna come down to the three of us having a stronger connection than the one we have now.
And the question is, if that's him, then where are we?
I'd like not to think about that too much, if that's all right with you, but for the time being, I think it's best if we stick together.
Yeah, it kind of hurts my head to think. Nope.
Flint sort of nods in acknowledgement. For him, it was just more of a moment of like when Warrin was not sure who he was. He, kind of important to know who you are as well. So, with that being said, he then pushes open the door to go and speak with the old lady. He then sort of takes out the small bag and pulls out a single stone or the glass piece and places it on the table. Is this a stone you're referring to, ma'am?
I have no idea. I thought I've seen them being used by shifters before. Let me see if I recall. If I recall correctly, they would place them on the ground in a certain pattern. That seemed to allow them to then summon one of those portals that you spoke of. But I wouldn't know how one would control it or anything like that. I've never shifted before either. Did your friend not make it?
No, but have you seen how he passed before, where they kind of disintegrate? Is that common for shifters?
I'm afraid you'd have to ask someone who's far more... you'd probably have to ask a shifter themselves. I don't know very much, I'm afraid. We've had some of your kind come before, after the great cataclysm when the shifting first started, but most of them seemed like yourselves, not entirely sure exactly about the process. Some seemed a bit more world-weary, if you like, but I'm afraid I can't help very much. You might find at Feldun, it's a bigger city, they have mages there, and as far as we know, they're not under attack by the Klak, so you might be able to get some answers there.
How frequently has anyone shown up who's actually shifted and known what they're doing before? Or they've all been like new people?
No, not that I can recall. There was one individual who came through about, must have been about 6 months ago now. They came through and they warned us about the Klak attack. Of course, at the time, we didn't believe them. I wish we had. But then they disappeared. So I assume they had some kind of purpose.
Y'all have any horses, ankegs, something to ride?
Ankegs? Those are beasts. Why would we keep monsters around? No. There are horses in the stables, but I'm afraid you won't get very far. Most of the surrounding areas have been overrun by Klak. It's only the marsh that they seem to have avoided. I think the smell repels them. I was doing some little research into that before the attack started, only I haven't completed my work yet.
We can make our way through, but they said they wanted something out of this castle as well. They said they can give it to us, and then we can take it, and we can go get reinforcements.
Yes.
Do you know what that was?
That would be the signet ring of Duke Sandast. If you can take that to Feldun, that will at least let them know that you represent the Duke, and then you can tell them what's going on here. We would send our own men, but unfortunately they're all committed to defending the castle at the moment. And since the three of you are certainly more world-weary than the rest of us, it might make sense for you to go through. The swamp is not too dangerous. The usual kinds of bogs and sort of pools of cold water. There is an old...
Shamblers.
Shamblers. I'm not sure what you mean, but...
Well, you know, water's bad enough. I mean, don't know about you, but I'd rather not get my feet wet.
We might only have one choice at this point.
Unless you
True
can
enough.
figure out a way to make some of those magic portals of yours, I think you are quite right. There is a temple out in the swamp, which you might look as a beacon, I suppose. It is the temple to Elysiae. She is our goddess of light and purity. We have sent some refugees there already, in the hopes that they escape before the Klak overrun the castle completely.
Do you know how these stones can be used so we end up in a certain place? Or is it just random?
Given she don't know
I
exactly
don't
how they
know.
should be arranged, I don't reckon she's got much more information on that. Do any of you remember going through when you were heading in, if there was an arrangement, or was it just a circle kind of thing? Because for me, it was a circle.
Or maybe it was a tear almost.
I just fell from the top of a cliff, and then whoosh, and then down the after the waterfall, and just kind of missed a splash. Delu pushed me in. He thought it was time. Time for what? I don't know exactly, but something. I had to find myself. Maybe-
You certainly did.
Oh no! What is Delu trying to tell me?
That's true. That's it.
Maybe so we can change your fate so you can get back home.
All I know is that the best thing I've got is I'll help you guys get to the temple. Maybe I can talk to Delu there. If this place's God will get me together I'll figure it out when I get there. His intelligence is 9, so.
All right. Flint has an idea. He's going to take a small handful of the stones and attempt to arrange them in just a basic circle.
All right, how many stones are you going to take?
Let's go with... I like the number 8, so I'm going to go with 8.
You want to use all our stones, basically?
Is it all of the stones? I thought
You
there
had
was like
12.
a little...
We have 12.
Oh.
We don't want to use all of them.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's go... I'll go with the square then.
6?
Well,
Four-
he said that we
four-
needed all of them, right?
Oh, well, I think he means being able to go to multiple places.
Look, I got no idea how this stuff works. At the moment, I'm just putting stones on the ground. You tell me how many...
So why don't we go one at a time so we know how many we need?
Well,
All
do we
right.
do this here at the temple?
Well,
We might need to use this so we can get to the temple.
I thought we were supposed to walk across the swamps.
He said we can go walk across the swamps or we can use the stones.
I still don't know if this will work.
Oh,
These
All
are
right.
rocks to me.
So, how many are you putting down, Flint?
One at a time. I'm going to put down 4, but I'm going to stop at 5. And if nothing happens by that stage, I'll just collect them back. up
How are
again.
you putting them down? Are you putting them down in a line? What sort of shape are you making?
All right. So the first one is going to go down at the top of the arc that I'm going to make.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go down kind of like a pentagram.
Right.
So down and diagonal, that's where I'm going to place the second.
Sure.
And down and diagonal is where I'm going to place the third.
Around
Just
yourself?
a triangle?
No, just in front of me. God.
In front.
No.
No.
Bye, Flint!
Ah!
yeah, you're
I
not
regret-
summoning demons, are you?
I put down the fourth.
Put down the fourth one, nothing happens.
And then the fifth one, which will connect the pentagon.
Right, you put down the fifth one, nothing happens.
I ready my warhammer.
Yep, I then go, well, I gave it a shot. I guess we'll need to learn a bit more about it. Figured it won't be that simple, but you never know about that sort of thing. And I'll
Warrin, you mentioned your pockets and your armor. What about the other guy's armor? Would you know where his pockets are? Maybe he has like information or notes or something.
It looked like different armor than I'm wearing. It was breastplate, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, see, I've never seen that kind of armor before, except on my mom.
Did you ever see her like putting something in there, or like we can check out the armor and see if there's like instruction manual?
I head back to the med bay to try and find the armor.
Maybe there's a code. Well, maybe there's a code of how you put them down, like if there's like a map or a cipher for the stones or something.
That is a strong idea, and I definitely think it's one worth exploring.
Okay.
Let's go exploring Warrin.
You go exploring.
Okay.
Warrin. All right. You go back to the infirmary, and that blanket is still there with the you poured the ash into the urn.
I've been carrying it with me.
Right. You go back to the infirmary, and the chest plate is still there. There are some few leather straps and things. There's a cape, leather breeches have been left behind. And as you're going through the whole thing, give me a collective investigate check, please. So what I need you to do is I need the three of you to roll an investigate check, and I need you to get above 25.
Oh no! Hey!
Yay!
So
That's
Flint
22.
22 from Floreria and 5 from Flint gives us the total that we were looking for. So whatever Warrin gives us is going to be cookie on the top.
Natural
and look
20
at that! A natural 20.
You know what? I'm just going to let everyone else do things. I'm just going to sit down.
Yeah, buddy!
What is this feeling? I can see things.
It seems if you put this together, we can actually take these different parts of the breastplate and then take them apart to this part.
Absolutely. Well, what you've come across is... At first you dismissed it. It just looked like a piece of folded leather. But Flint kind of pulled out this folded leather. It wasn't very big, probably about that big, little square of leather. And Flint pulled it out and dismissed it. He passed it over to Warrin. Warrin, between yourself and Floreria, you realize that the leather, when you open it out, it actually reveals pages inside of it. So and when you close it again, it just goes back to being a piece of folded leather that you can then quite literally just scrumple up and put in your pocket. But the moment you fold it in half and then open it out, again it reveals these pages, these translucent pages. They don't look like paper. They look almost like gossamer wing from an insect of some kind. But scratched upon it is all this different kind of writing. And the part that's the most confusing is that each page, the writing seems to be scrambled for most of the pages. But there's one page that the book happens to open out on because of your natural 20 that is legible. It seems fixed. And it describes the pivotal battle of the fall of Tungay Keep, where the Klak invasion took a turn for the kingdom of Brunei. And once Tungay Keep fell, so says the little paragraph, the rest of the kingdom fell, and this world was consigned to the Klaks, is how it ends off. And then at the bottom is this rather curious, it looks like a circle of 6 stones, but you notice, and this is Floreria's sharp eye, that the teardrops are placed in a very specific way. They've been very specifically drawn. Sometimes their points point inwards, sometimes their points point outwards, but there are 6 stones in a perfect circle with their points pointing in different directions. That's what you see on the page.
All right.
Is the language, is it a different kind of language, or is it all the common, or is it mostly just scratch?
So the one page that's fixed, that makes absolute sense. It's written in common. The rest of the pages, it looks like someone's just taken words and shapes and symbols and just thrown them onto the page. It just seems like it's a complete jumble. Not even complete words. Sometimes the text is running sideways. Sometimes it's just big blocks of black block, sort of as if it's been redacted. Just an absolute mess.
I think
So it's more like a code?
Could be a code.
I was
I
going
think
to
it's
say,
a cipher.
I think we found the person who invented wingdings.
Right, absolutely.
I'm trying to discern whether or not I can use comprehend languages, but I don't think that's the case here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much of a structure to it. Oftentimes with a language, with a code, there definitely seems to be a structure, but this just seems to be gobbledygook.
Is there Elven in it?
None that you can see, although there might be. It really is just a mess.
So,
Well, I recognize the bottom one, so I'm like, Flint, can I have 6 of the stones? We might be able to,
hand out 6.
and I would rearrange them the way that circled has it.
All right. The moment you finish aligning the last stone, that circle instantly turns into this blue swirling disc of energy, very similar to what you saw, Floreria, as a tear. You see as this spinning circular disc in front of you. It's about the same size circle, Flint, that you saw in the barn. And now that you see it, Warrin, you realize that as you were falling towards the waterfall pool below you, might have seen something like it in between your eyes being opened and closed as you were trying to fly. But that's what happens.
Great Gyro's ghost, you got it working.
Do we just think really hard of where we want to go and jump?
Well,
That makes sense to me, kind of.
well, don't forget we need to get that signet ring before we go and jump.
From where
Yes.
again?
You remember the old lady said the Duke or some such had a ring that we could use in order to try and get some assistance. I reckon we should go get that before we decide to jump into no whirling vortexes of unknown origin.
Give
I'll
me a
make sure no
perception
one
check,
else jumps
please,
in it.
all three of you. Perception checks.
Okie dokie.
I swear I'm gonna get one roll good.
Why didn't mine pop up? Did you see mine pop up?
13? No, I didn't, I'm afraid.
I rolled the 17, but it didn't pop up. Okay, let's try it again. Perception. Yeah. Go. Well, that time we got 2.
All right, so Warrin and Flint, the two of you notice that those teardrop stones, as this vortex is swirling, the stones seem to be crumbling from the outside inwards. And the energy that is emanating from them seems to be feeding the vortex, but they seem to be running out. You reckon you've probably got about...
I push them both in.
you just push them in. It's like, go.
Are they ready to go?
All right. Oh, boy. Okay, so here we go. You step through the swirling vortex. There is that moment of blackness, and then there's that sudden burst of white light. And you find yourselves... I've just got to do this quickly.
Clark.
As you are stepping out of that white, brilliant light, you find yourselves landing in a rather large clump of people. Back in that central quad, with the guards looking around. What? Who the hell are you lot? And this giant ball of flaming fire coming towards you that has been pitched above you. It is exactly the same as it was when you first arrived.
Oh my god,
Reset.
another one!
It's a reset! Run!
All
What does
right.
that mean?
Floreria, what are you doing? Oh, well, we'll go on initiative again. So, Flint, what are you doing, sir?
Flint is going to look at what's happening. Is there anyone standing where the thing hit last time?
There is a cluster of guards that are sort of milling around there. I haven't added them, but they are there.
Yep, I will yell at those guys to move right now.
Okay. They kind of look bewildered at you. Give me a persuasion check, if you please, Flint.
I'm going to take my gun and I'm going to shoot it towards them as a warning shot and use an intimidation.
Okay, give me intimidation with advantage.
All right, so I was taught how to do this. I have to click advantage.
Yes.
I then need to take my intimidation dice and then throw it. Yay!
There you go.
Thank God.
Boom! There's this thunderous noise that echoes out of his flintlock. The guards look at you and immediately scatter on all different directions. As they do that, one guard looks at you and says, "Oh, your shifters! Thank goodness you've arrived. His lordship will want
We've
to
been
see
over
you
this
straight."
already.
The Duke is going to need to see us. Like, you get it. Let's go. Get in.
Oh, I knew you would arrive just in time. He starts running down the corridor, as he has done many times before. The other guard takes up position next to the well. "Flyers!" he shouts as he points upwards. You can see again those flying bee-like creatures carrying their cargoes flying over the edges of the walls. Floreria?
I realize that if this is back in time, Warrin has longer to live down the hallway, so I'm going to book it past the Duke and go to Warrin.
All right, so you start running down the corridor. I'm just going to send you off there. Back to top of the round. They're still flying. Warrin, what are you doing?
This time I'm going to do it right. Eldritch Blast!
All right, you're making an attack against one of these poor creatures.
I hope they fall and think about what they've done. Where's the thing? There it is.
That's a hit. Do your damage.
I'm gonna smack him. That's tasty. Oh, it didn't do it? Oh, come on. It rolled a 9.
Didn't it? We're all in anticipation here. What's happening?
No, like I put it on top of the person. It didn't do it.
That's what happened when I rolled early for my perception, and then I rolled a 6 afterwards.
Yeah.
But I originally rolled a 17.
All right, well, just roll.
So I'll just put it in the group here, I guess.
Oh, 1 damage.
It was a 9.
It was a 9 before. And this is against one of the flying creatures?
Yeah. Trying to, like, throw him off again.
Cool. The blast slams out, hits it on its wings. Its mandibles kind of clack together. It sort of bothers around a little bit, seems to correct itself. It doesn't seem to pay too much attention to it. Are you then moving?
I'll move to give the other guys cover.
Sure.
In the square.
Okie dokes. Flint?
I will use my action to reload, and then use my bonus action to take a shot at the one that that Warrin took a shot at.
Sure. Make your attack.
Now, which one was that? Was that the top one or the bottom one?
It was Klak Airborne 01, so it's the top one here that I'm busy moving around a little bit.
Okay.
This one here.
Alright.
Natural 1. Wow. History repeating itself. I believe that's what happened.
It literally repeated itself. Another natural 1. Well, apparently I checked to see if my gun's freaking jammed again.
Oh, no.
No.
These things
Wasn't this... Didn't you jam the same
did.
shot?
Exactly the same before.
Oh my god, it is Groundhog Day.
Damn.
It
Oh
really
my
did.
God.
History just repeated itself and you saw it here. All right, so that's what's happening. Are you moving, Flint, or are you looking down with incredulity at your rifle?
It's just, I think at that moment Flint is stunned because Flint doesn't believe in things like time travel and stuff like that. But this is some compelling evidence right here. So I'm not gonna move anywhere. I'm just gonna take that moment for Flint to have his little existential crisis.
All right, that's exactly what's happening. Floreria, the guards are going to take up a position. Once you've rushed past him, he looks down the corridor at you. He's on the right.
Yeah, got it. Warrin! And I'm like yelling as I run.
Right.
And I'm going to go like burst into the room because I know he's going to be there bleeding.
Got you. All right, so these flying creatures are making their way over. They're dropping down their charges as they did before, and they're starting to move away. And that was Floreria's action. You get to the infirmary, and as you burst in the doorway into the infirmary, you see that there is this sort of ruckus going on, and these priests all look up as you come bursting in, and you can see lying on the bed is exactly the same figure, with this sort of red shot hair and this red shot beard. But this time the figure has an eye patch and is not wearing the heavy metal armor at all, but appears to be wearing some kind of silver scaled skin. And as you come bursting in, the figure looks at you and just raises up their hand and does that and shouts, "Don't trust the trabe!" and then back into dust.
Don't trust the trabe?
That's all that you hear.
What's happening here?
Back to the top of the round, the clacks are starting to fly away. Those charges are running forward. One charges towards you, Warrin. One charges towards you, Flint. The one charging towards you, Warrin, gets to... Oh, they're going to attack later on. I've skipped you guys. Warrin, what are you doing?
What the heck? Flame hammer! As I start spinning it, I'm gonna whack him.
Make attack.
I'm gonna give him a little whack.
Or not. Your hammer slams against the side of his chiton. He seems uninterested in your advances there. You gonna move? No.
I gotta make sure everyone else gets in first.
Sure thing. Flint?
Flint at this point will what will Flint do? Flint will use his bonus action to say the exact same thing he said to Warrin before. Son, listen here, you need to get inside. Make sure that everything is safe indoors. If people don't have a way to go back to, then we're going to be in a whole heap of trouble. And I'm going to use my bonus action to give him a movement.
But what about everybody else?
I'll make sure that they're covered on the way around, the way back.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to use my... I'm basically going to tell everyone as well to make their way to the fortifications.
Right.
And also make a move away. Now, in terms of attacks of opportunity, can I try to combat roll so that this guy doesn't have a swing at me?
Well, you can disengage, which will move you back 5 feet. So it won't get you all the way down the corridor. But yes, you could step back as the other two guards are going to rush in and cover you.
All right, cool. I'll take a step back and let them come and cover me.
All right, perfect. The first guard comes running down. He runs past you, Warrin. Down the corridor on the left, first door on your right. He launches
Wait, what was the
himself.
last one?
What? Says the guard as he's running past. The other guard comes out from behind the well, steps in front of you, and immediately starts engaging with the clacks as best as they can. You can see that these chainmail-clad guards are no real obstacle for these insectoid-like beasts. Their forearms they're massive forearms, I should say. They don't have forearms; they're forearms. Sort of just slam the pikes that they're carrying into the poor soldiers. Back to you, Floreria.
I'm going to search that scale armor for the same leather booklet that Warrin had in the other one.
It's not there.
It's not there at all?
No.
Okay. I'm going to then make my way towards the Duke's place because I know they're in the meeting.
You're going back to where the Dukes were in that meeting previously. Absolutely.
I'm going to scoop up little bits of Warrin into my urn that I'm still holding for the last one, and then I'm going to go. I have a Warrin collection of ash.
All right, that's what you're doing. Warren, you come running down the corridor just in time to see... Oops, I skipped there. Just in time to see Floreria coming out with handfuls of ash, shoving it back into the urn. You haven't got all the way to the infirmary yet.
Oh, okay.
What do you do?
I'm just gonna follow her. I don't know where to go. This is so confusing. My head hurts.
It's
All right.
okay.
I'm gonna smash something soon if I don't get this figured out.
The room down the hall has a bunch of empty containers. Go break those.
Okay.
Flint?
Yeah, I'm hoofing it. Yep, so I'll hoof it back to where they are.
Right. Okay. Yeah, as you burst in, the Duke looks up. Who the hell are you? He says as you march in.
We've been told to come talk to you. We might be able to get word out to get reinforcements, and we need your signet ring to do so.
He looks from you to the lady you know as Miriam. She nods her head. Right, he says as he pulls this ring off of his finger. He hands it over to you. I suppose I should thank you then. Feldun, speak to Commander Lancaster. He will know what to do.
Where can we find him?
He will be in the keep of Feldun, most likely preparing for a counterattack, I would imagine. He must know of the armies of the Klaks moving from the south. There is very little time. Miriam, will you show them the ways through the swamp, or at least how they can get through? She nods her head. She looks at the three of you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a castle to keep, he says as he marches out with the rest of his retinue. Miriam looks at the three of you. I assume you are the shifters who have come to help?
You assume correctly, but to kind of save a little bit of time, we cannot use whatever weird shifting power that apparently you think we have in order to accurately go anywhere. So we're going to have to make it through that swamp if you have any hope of getting reinforcements.
You know about the swamp?
We've done this before.
Again, time being a factor.
Yes, absolutely. I understand. She opens one of the scrolls that are on the table and she sort of rolls it out. Well, this is the Tungay Keep, she says, as she points to the large sort of map in the center of the large keep in the center of the map. And she shows you the north, the east, and the south is completely overrun by Klaks. But to the west is this large swamp. The swamp itself it doesn't look to be particularly treacherous. There are a couple of rivers that meander lazily through the territory. But right at the very center is the temple to Elysii. It was used for pilgrimages long ago. And Elysii, being the goddess of light and purity, many women used to travel out there, so it's not that dangerous. We have some refugees there. Now, I've been working on a theory. I think that the reason why the Klaks are not yet in the swamp is because the fumes of the swamp. There are certain gas pockets, you understand, in the mud. I think the fumes keep the Klaks away. But it is just a theory, and unfortunately, I haven't had much time to work on it. You see, it was 6 months ago that another one of your kind arrived and warned us of the attack. Only we didn't pay much attention to it when that happened. We thought him a madman. But now with your arrival, perhaps we were mistaken, and of course the Klaks too. Nonetheless, I divert. Time is of the essence. There is a secret passageway which I will take you to. It leads you directly into the swamp, and from there you can make your way as best you can. Feldun is no more than a day away, perhaps a day and a half. It's directly west of us. I can only wish you the best of luck. Is there anything you wish to take with you before you leave?
Did that man, the shifter from 6 months ago, did he leave anything behind? Maybe a book or... any possessions?
As a matter of fact, he did. Now, where did we put it? The whole castle rocks as mortar and dust sort of filters down. There's a few guards that run past. Oh, they're attacking the south wall! Sort of make their way. She goes over to this old chest and opens it out. She just rummages through things. She lifts up a pouch that looks almost identical to the pouch that you were given before, and she hands it out to you. It's got 12 black shards in it. He said,
that is exactly what we need. I'll take it from a hand.
Yes. He did leave a message as well. I wrote it down at the time because it was rather curious. Now, where is it, she says, as she starts rifling through stuff. There's a loud scream, and it sounds like some piece of tower has collapsed as rubble falls down.
Maybe we should all go?
Here it is. And she says, it was very strange. He said...
I'll take the note from her hand, and I'll say, thank you kindly. We're going to make sure that everything's all right. Hold the fort and keep morale high.
Why don't you tell us on the way to the secret door? Come, let's walk and talk.
Good idea. And she starts leading you down this corridor. Every now and again, men run past. Sometimes there's healers carrying the wounded. The sounds of battle outside seem to quieten down after a little while, though, as the battle seems to perhaps quieten down, or just before the next surge hits, I suppose. And you get led into this basement section. She lifts up a trapdoor. This tunnel will take you a good 100 feet outside of the castle boundaries, and it'll open out just next to the swamp. It's a sewer maintenance tunnel. There is a trapdoor.
I go straight down.
But you just need this key, she says, and she hands you this large brass key.
We're gonna die. All right. Flint will take the key. Thank her again. If he did have expressions, it would probably be a bit of frustration there, because he takes it from her and he says, "All right, we need to make this quick. This place ain't gonna last long."
What about everybody else? Like, are we gonna?
We're gonna come back with reinforcements. We can't help them, just the three of us.
Okay, let's go.
Well,
out of curiosity, what was the last thing he said?
Well, it's on the note, but he said, tell the kids to hurry up. I haven't got the foggiest what that might mean. Anyway, good luck.
Yeah, I'll pass the note to Laura as we're
she
making our way
closes
through
the trapdoor behind you, and the sort of the flickering torchlight is your only illumination. At the far end of this tunnel, you can see this faint milky light filtering through. Flint, you're at the charge, I assume, making your way down this water service corridor. You can see every now and again there's little archways that would lead down into the sewer system of the actual keep itself, but staying true and steady, you get to the grate at the far end. It's an old-fashioned portcullis. You stick the key in, you turn it, there's a grating sound, and you have to push to break the actual layer of rust on the hinges, but it's not too difficult for the two of you to sort of force your way through, the three of you, I should say. And you step out. The light is quite bright in comparison to the darker tunnel, but there is this very broad expanse of marsh that stretches out in front of you. You can see these very cool pools of murky greens and olives stretching out in all different directions. Bulrushes sort of growing like teeth every now and again out of clumps of sodden earth. But in the distance, at the far edge of the field, or at least of the marsh, you can see this tower sticking out from amongst the various marsh trees that have grown low in the area. And you suspect that might very well be the temple of Ilisari, the goddess of light and purity. As you are watching that, you can look back behind you to see Tungay Keep. Quite a large stone structure, mostly covered in smoke as more of these fire-like things are landing. And you happen to glimpse to the north, I should say, this titanic, it looks like a gigantic insect, 6 large chitinous legs, and its mandibles open. And when I say gigantic, it probably stands 50 foot from the ground. That's how big this thing is. Maybe 300 foot in length. Its mandibles open, and as they open, this flaming ball starts to appear in the middle of its maw, and then it flicks the mandibles open, and the ball sails directly towards the castle. That explodes against the wall, and you can see that's the fire and the goop that was fired before. And we will return next week when the adventures of the Broken World Chronicles continues. If you're watching us on Twitch, we will have half an hour now where I review how the show went. We get to hang out with the cast and crew and see how things progress there. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember you can catch us on Twitch every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time live. Otherwise, you can obviously watch here on YouTube. And if you are doing so, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and the goblin bell so you can learn when new episodes are coming out. And that is weekly. Thank you for watching. Okay, thanks everybody. Goodbye.